This is the briefing video for the meeting on October 17th, 2022. This is joint session, so it'll be the Board of Trustees plus the Planning Commission plus the Zoning Board of Appeals, and it's a working session, so it's just the discussion, no decisions taking place, trying to get everyone in alignment, get concerns, issues discussed, at least find out where we're in misalignment, that type of thing. This is the schedule. I made an unusually small packet. I think most people realize I like to put out a lot of information, but I want everyone that's on those boards, we'll have approximately 16 people, probably a few less that won't be able to make it, discussing these that are sitting members currently. And I want them to be able to read the whole thing, and then there's a lot of knowledge dispersed throughout that group and a lot of different perspectives on things, and including the role that they're carrying out here. If it's a legislative role or an administrative role or an executive role or a judicial role, you see it from a different perspective. And so I want that to take place. So I will go through what is on there as of now. Only a few of them near the end are ones that I specifically put on here. I'd asked for all of the members to send in anything that they thought should be considered, and these are the things that came up. So I have a note in the packet about the entire schedule, saying something similar to what I just said, and this is available on the website and on Municode. It's up on there. The first one is overregulation. Just this concern about a balancing. There's always a balancing, right? In every government, in every political system, in every society, there's a balancing of regulation because you're trying to do with a wide group of people, no matter where you are, and you're trying to have a set of rules that people can go by that is reasonable, and so it protects people but allows people to do what they want. And this was brought up in the context of Dalton Township potentially being on the over-regulated side. So, does it exist? How far is it? What should we do about it? That type of thing will be that discussion. Next, we have ZBA variance request patterns. And this was brought up in the Planning Commission of, is the ZBA seeing a bunch of similar variance requests that they're approving? If so, maybe that should just be taken care of in the ordinance itself so that they don't have to go through a variance process. Next is the master plan process, and the master plan is something that legally we have to go with the zoning and that type of thing. Do we want to hire it out to a company, which would be decent amount of money to do like a mass mailing, that type of thing, or do we want to handle it more in-house? Which direction do we want to go on it? ARPA fund usage recommendations, and obviously the ARPA fund has been being discussed for a while and will continue to be discussed over the next couple of years, and so someone had mentioned that we should have that discussion here as well. Utility buildings without homes. This was brought up, and it's been brought up in the past, of having the ability to have an accessory building without a primary residence on a parcel, and so that was brought up as a general concept again. This one is camping without a home, and this has been discussed a few times as well, and it was specifically brought up with parameters of allowing campers on land for up to 7 months, but not tents. That's how it was brought up. Next, we have Twin Lake Traffic Circle, about the dangerous intersection there at the blinking light in Twin Lake. Beautification of Whitehall Road in M120, and basically explains it. Those are the main corridors through Dalton, and so the person that brought this up is, should there be a type of aesthetic ordinance, a form ordinance? Form zoning is a thing not usually used so much in the country, but it's newer as well, becoming more popular in cities and making its way out to the country, where instead of the usage of the property being the primary thing, the form, the look of the property is the primary thing, and then the usage can be a variety. It can basically be whatever, as long as the form is correct, which could be discussed. Reduce site plan review to primaries. This was brought up through the Planning Commission and goes with the next thing, which is instruction packet and to-do list for site review. Next, we had fruit trees on township land, and this was brought up for people being able to access some versions of food on township land, where if there were fruit trees there, people could just go get the fruit. Next, food sovereignty, and I brought this one up Obviously, over the last few months, I have been discussing this and working on moving forward on it, and it's one of those things where the society probably hasn't had a push towards a right to food or food sovereignty as a property right since the Victory Gardens in World War II, but some parts of the society are certainly moving in that direction now. We've seen that with the Right to Farm Act here. We've seen that with Maine and Tennessee constitutional amendments in the last couple of years. And so it is moving in that direction as well, I think, and I kind of want to, I think that's good in general. That's my personal view of it, and so I want to be part of pushing that in a direction that I think would be good in Michigan, and I think Dalton is a great place to start, and it'll help out Dalton quite a lot. Makes the community more resilient and healthier, and moves in the direction of property rights as well, and so that's the basic idea there. It'll continue to be discussed for a while, obviously. And my basic plan as of this point, and this is part of what I want to discuss there, because I want to see the perspective of the people on the Zoning Board of Appeals and the perspective of the people on the Planning Commission. My basic plan as of now is to pass it as a general code ordinance over the next couple of months, and then to potentially bring it up on the ballot for next November in 2023. And so we'll see what people think of that type of thing. Next, we have township organizational structure, and I've been going over this in staff meetings and one-on-one meetings with staff and that type of thing. I think it's important to understand how the township is structured, how it's different than a business, and you get the political plays in businesses as well, but I think everyone probably knows from their working career that if politics is played too much in the business, a business collapses. Where if politics is played too much in government, the government really can't collapse unless it's a major disaster. So you can essentially have an organization that would be a failed business in a continual state of failure that continues to exist. And that's some of what we've seen here with, for instance, the finances with the sewer since 2006, that type of thing. Whereas it probably would have collapsed a business, but a government doesn't. And so someone then has to get in there and try to fix that. But the structure is different as well. And so I kind of want to draw that out, and I've drawn it out in different places, but this is, right, that's the organizational structure of the township looks like that. And so it's weird because that top portion is the board, and there's no way to take politics out of the government, obviously. That only makes sense. And so I want to go over that with some people and get their perspective on it as well, because it's important to find a balance there. Sometimes in academic literature on this type of thing, I've seen it stated as a shaky alliance. But you need to find some sort of alignment. You have to find an alignment with the people, with the individual meaning in their lives that they're getting from the position that they hold, plus making sure that the organization is fulfilling the meaning that it's supposed to fulfill in the society, in the world as well. And both those are very important. Otherwise, you probably feel empty, in your position and feel like something's misaligned because it is. Next, we have enforcement ordinance. We've been through two versions of the enforcement resolution, of getting that to just be, this due process type of thing. And I want to keep moving in that direction and working on consistency, because decently inconsistent, and we've made a lot of progress on that. I think with the adjustment, because initially we were doing administrative appeals to the Zoning Board of Appeals, but then people weren't showing up. It just ends up being a rubber stamping. It's a waste of time of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And so our second resolution was to adjust for that. And I think it's working decently well. And so it's into that part where we can start having the conversation of putting it into the actual ordinance at this point. 2 years into this term. Motorsports Approval, and obviously this became a big controversy last year with Thunderbird and everything, which is written uniquely in the ordinances, so I think it is worthy of discussion, makes sense. Next, we have other, and I put for this anything else that people think should be considered, because even though I asked, multiple times people on the boards, it might be that they think of something once they see what else is already on the list, something like that. And so if people want to have the discussion among the people that are on the township boards and commission, then I think it's a good time to do that. We did that this last year, and I like doing it so that the discussion can happen and things can be considered and people can see where everyone else is on an issue and try to figure those things out. Otherwise, it's more informal, and it kind of is going through other channels rather than people talking directly. And I think it's useful for people to talk directly, and I think it's useful for people to meet in person and talk as well, because that's full human communication. These other forms of communication, they're limited in some way. They're not the full style of humanity, the way humans are designed to communicate. So if anyone has anything, let me know. The room will obviously be set up different. We can't have all those people sit up on the raised section in the boardroom. And so what we did last year was we made a square, because there could be up to 16 sitting members, plus the zoning administrator might be here. He might be out. He's out today because he's a sore throat. So, and we don't want people infected coming up to the election and that type of thing. So he's working from home now. So I don't know if he'll be here on Monday or not. But we could have 16, 17 people, or 15, 14, 13, somewhere around there, but enough to fill up a square of tables, essentially, that we'll make in the room. So it's odd for the public to be there, but it is a public meeting, so if the public wants to come, they definitely can. If there's just a few people that are from the public, maybe we'll sit them up in the chairs that the boards normally sit in, because that would be a decent place. That way someone isn't standing behind someone, which could feel awkward for people. So, and then it'll be recorded and posted. The video equipment seemed to work decently well for the audio. Even the artificial intelligence seemed to figure it out over that last meeting, which is good. The quality on the video didn't come through great, and so I'm going to play with that a little bit and see if I can get it better. But nevertheless, if anyone has anything, let me know. My direct line is area code 231-332-6700, or email supervisor@daltontownship.org. Otherwise, this is Jeff Martin signing off.